Hey, I get it. You're budgeting, you're trying, but by the time you hit the month end, you are completely out of money. Hey, I'm Dennis. I am a certified financial counselor, and today we're going to be breaking down why exactly your budget keeps failing and the three critical mistakes that are probably to blame. So stick around because at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to fix them. But before we get into it, give it a like, share it to anyone that can use the education in the financial well-being to take control of your money. We have new videos every single day that are around investing, making it smart, making it personal finance, making and really treating you to a great financial education. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, mistake number one that I see, and I've done budgets for hundreds of people at this point, is your budget is unrealistic. This is exactly what I see from people. The budget that you're coming up with doesn't match your real life. It doesn't use actual numbers, or the worst part is they cut everything out. I get it. You want to save money, you want to budget, you want to make this work. But when you start cutting everything out of your life, all of your non-essentials, thinking of coffees, movies, hobbies, things you like to do, you are absolutely setting your budget up to fail in its entirety. Your budget needs to have a happy balance. Don't try going financial cold turkey, just going in and cutting everything out in the entirety. Most people might be able to keep this up for 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month or two, but most of the budgets fail because they cut out everything that they enjoy in life, and you have to build in fun money. If you like going to the movies, put that in the budget. If you like getting coffee once or twice a week, put that in the budget. If you'd like to go out and eat, as long as it works in the budget, it can definitely work for you. Now, another part that I see when it comes to budgeting is underestimating your expenses. You have to be honest, and you have to be honest with your numbers. I see this a lot of times where people will say, I go out and I do my grocery shopping. I probably spend $200 or $300 a month. Then we start looking at the numbers. We go back through the last 60 days of financial statements. All of a sudden, we're at $500-$600 in groceries every single month. Grossly underestimating your budget is never going to work. Budgets are not magically going to have an extra $300 built into it. And starting today, you can track your expenses. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to, whether it's a budget, whether it's a spending plan. It is going to take time to build really that accountability into the budget, but know for the next 30 to 60 days what you're real spending in. Building your budget and really starting with facts, not just hopes and dreams, will make your budget a lot more successful. And the next one that I see from a lot of people is saving aggressively. I love saving. I save a big majority of my income. For a lot of people that start budgeting, they want to put away 20, 30, even 40% of their income overnight when they're barely making it and they are somewhat paycheck to paycheck. You're going to set yourself up for failure right off the bat. What I want you to start with is when you're starting to budget, start with that 3%, 5%, maybe even 10%. Then we can work our way up. Now, of course, with this, the realistic budget has to be flexible. You have to be honest with yourself, and you have to build in space for the goal and also for life. There are going to be a lot of things that come up with your life. And when it comes to budgeting, you can really take care of this. Now, it all starts whether you're looking at Ramit with the spending plan, if you're looking at Dave Ramsey with the Every Dollar app, you're not tracking your expenses. This is one of the big things. When I start looking and when I do the financial counseling, it's not only about kind of tracking and building out that budget, but it's a lot about tracking your spending, knowing where your dollar goes. And Dave Ramsey says it best, every dollar has a purpose. You need to know where every dollar is going. A budget without tracking is just like a fitness plan without ever working out or stepping on a scale. It really doesn't work. For a lot of people, they budget once a month. Now, this is great. It can work incredibly well if you're very disciplined with it. Budgeting is not a one and done deal. It is a weekly check-in, maybe every 2 or 3 days for someone who is just starting this. When you start getting and knowing how you stay in control, you'll find out over the next probably 2 months that when it comes to budgeting, a majority of your expenses will stay those fixed expenses. You're going to know where your money goes. You're going to know exactly what you're paying when it comes to rent, when it comes to insurance, phone bill, internet, when it comes to car payments. All of those are going to stay the same from month to month to month. And that's how you stay in control, is knowing exactly where your budget is at. And of course, you're guessing where your money goes. This is another one. You're not logging any of your expenses. You're not using any apps. You're not syncing your accounts. You are guessing where your money is going. And a lot of times with this, there's a lot of times you're overspending. It's impulse purchases. It's checkout at, a Kroger or Meijer counter, even using an app, using a notebook, using something to track your expenses. Even if you have a little book or even the Notes app on your phone, to track exactly what you're spending. And of course, for this, not reviewing past mistakes each month, treat it as a learning opportunity. What we mean by this, where did you overspend? What categories were you looked at? Where can we make some adjustments? It doesn't need to be really a reflect on, hey, it was bad, this is what I did, but you need to know and want to keep from doing those same mistakes when it comes to the budget. Starting with a new spreadsheet, a lot of people do now. A budget is a plan. Tracking the money in there is the execution of that plan. One without the other is completely useless. Now, of course, when it comes to financial education, no emergency fund, no emergency buffer is really the big thing. There will come a point in time when an emergency fund will come into play. Life happens. When it does, you can absolutely blow up your budget. You can throw it out of the window if you do not and if you are not prepared. This could include you get a flat tire, you have an auto repair, you have a vet bill, you have something that is completely and really classified as an emergency. So you need to treat emergencies like a surprise. A lot of people treat emergencies as something I didn't properly budget for, and treating emergencies, even if they aren't emergencies, yet most of the budgets ignore building in this emergency fund. It is going to be a 100% separate fund for unexpected expenses that you're not going to rely on credit cards. You're not going to rely on borrowing. You're not going to rely on anything except that emergency fund when you are building it. Now, in addition to the emergency fund, some people build what they call a sinking fund or a rainy day fund. This is something that is going to be a smaller bucket that is set aside for something that you know is coming. When you start looking at car repairs, when you look at holidays, back to school shopping, holiday shopping, this is a very small savings that, let's say, you're going to set aside and you're going to use the savings at a determined time. For again, we'll use the example of holiday shopping, which you're going to set aside $30, $50 a month. When you start getting to December and you have to do the holiday shopping, you already have funds set aside that are excluded and outside of that emergency fund, and they are dedicated to one certain thing. And when we start thinking about this, it's about a 12-month door or 12-month window for sinking funds, knowing exactly where you're going to be doing this. And then, of course, the big one here, you're budgeting to zero with no flexible room. Don't spend every dollar of every single paycheck. That is the zero-based budgeting method. Built in and really a couple percent in there as a buffer, unexpected things. This is going to be imperative when it comes to starting a budget, is knowing, let's say for instance, you make $100,000 a year. You want to put away a couple $100 as just that budgeting room, the flexibility room, so you don't have to borrow, and then we can work your budget from there. Good budgets have a little bit of wiggle room in there. Again, you're not going to every single dollar. The tighter the plan, the easier it is to break when you need something that is outside of the budget. And again, you can allocate some of that money and kind of change those variable expenses from month to month to really build out this budget. So let's bring it all together. What did we talk about here? Mistake number one, your budget is realistic. Cutting out too much joy in your life, you're underestimating your costs, and you're trying to save too aggressively. Mistake number two, you're not tracking those expenses, ignoring the budget after you create it, which most people do, guessing at where you're spending money instead of actually logging, and not reviewing where the money went wrong or where you went wrong with the budget itself. And number three, not having that emergency fund. This is important. No setting aside those savings for a surprise. No sinking fund or no wiggle room in the budget can absolutely decimate it. So how can we fix this? It is really three very, very easy steps. First one, create a very realistic balanced budget that has a little bit of wiggle room in there so you can get used to the budgeting process. Track every expense for the next 30 days. This again will create a very big aha moment when you start looking and noticing really psychologically where you're using your money, where you're using those expenses, and try it for 30 days. See exactly where you are. And the third one is building that $500 emergency fund ASAP. This is going to keep you from blowing up the budget. This is going to keep you from borrowing additional funds, whether it's an unsecured loan or a credit card. I do not want you, and you don't need to borrow if you're budgeting properly for those expenses. If this video gave you an aha moment, give it a thumbs up. Comment below which budgeting mistake are you going to fix first, or are there any that I didn't have in here? Subscribe for daily videos on how to master your money without sacrificing your life, and I'll catch you in the next one.